3 ghostly apparitions in deserted prison cells. Welcome to our channel, where shadows whisper untold stories and fear takes hold. Tonight we delve into the chilling history of abandoned prisons, places where echoes of suffering linger. We bring you 3 spine-chilling stories of ghostly apparitions in deserted prison cells. Make sure to turn off the lights, sit back, and prepare to be terrified. Imagine the cold, desolate halls of Cranbrook Penitentiary, where every step echoes with the weight of history. Built in 1889, it stood for over a century, a monument to punishment and despair, its walls absorbing the cries of countless souls. Now it stands silent, abandoned, a decaying testament to its dark past, with rusted bars and crumbling walls telling tales of sorrow. But some say the prisoners never truly left, their spirits lingering in the shadows, bound by unfinished business. Our story begins with a lone security guard, Jake, hardened by years of working the night shift, his eyes accustomed to the darkness. He'd heard the whispers, the legends of Cranbrook, but dismissed them as the ramblings of scared locals, tales to frighten children. Tonight, however, he would learn the truth, a truth that would shatter his skepticism forever. It was a night like any other, the moon casting an eerie glow over the quiet prison yard. The wind howled outside, rattling the rusted bars, creating a symphony of eerie sounds. Jake made his rounds, his footsteps echoing through the emptiness, his flashlight cutting through the darkness like a beacon. He reached cell block D, the most notorious section of the prison, known for housing the most dangerous inmates. As he approached cell number 13, a chill ran down his spine, an instinctive reaction to the unseen. He couldn't explain it, but an overwhelming sense of dread washed over him, as if the air itself was thick with fear. He shined his light into the cell, the beam piercing the darkness. The cell was empty, or so it seemed, the corners shrouded in shadow. But then he saw him, a figure emerging from the darkness. A figure, tall and gaunt, materialized from the shadows in the corner of the cell, his presence undeniable. He was dressed in a tattered prison uniform, his face obscured by darkness, an enigma in the gloom. Jake froze, his blood turning to ice, his mind struggling to comprehend what he was seeing. He tried to speak, but no sound escaped his lips, his voice trapped by terror. He watched in terror as the figure turned towards him, its eyes glowing with an eerie light piercing through the darkness. The figure lifted its hand, reaching towards Jake through the bars, its fingers like shadows. He could hear a faint whisper, a mournful sound that seemed to seep into his very bones, chilling him to the core. "Help me," it seemed to say, the voice filled with an eternity of suffering, a plea that transcended time. Jake stumbled back, dropping his flashlight in fear, the light spinning wildly. The figure lunged towards the bars, its eyes burning into Jake's soul, a silent scream of rage. He scrambled back, his heart pounding in his chest, adrenaline surging through his veins. He didn't dare look back as he ran through the darkened halls, the specter's cries echoing behind him, a haunting melody. He burst out of the prison gates, gasping for breath, his clothes soaked in a cold sweat, the night air a harsh contrast. He never returned to Cranbrook, forever haunted by the memory of the phantom inmate, a ghost that would never let him go. Some say the figure in cell 13 is the ghost of Elias Croft, a man wrongly convicted of murder, his spirit restless. Driven mad by his unjust imprisonment, Elias took his own life within that very cell, his anguish echoing through the ages. Our next story takes us to the crumbling remains of Blackwood Penitentiary, a place steeped in sorrow and shrouded in mystery, where the past lingers like a heavy fog. It's said that within Blackwood's walls, the air is thick with the anguish of forgotten souls, their stories etched into the very stone. But amidst the chorus of whispers and shadows, one voice cries out above the rest, piercing the silence with its sorrow. They call her the Wailing Woman, a specter forever bound to the cell where she met her untimely end, her presence a constant reminder of the prison's dark history. Her mournful cries echo through the empty halls, a chilling symphony of despair that sends shivers down the spine of anyone who dares to listen. Her name, whispered on the wind, was Celia, and hers is a tale of betrayal and heartbreak. Celia had been a visitor to Blackwood, her heart filled with hope as she came to see her beloved Thomas, who had been wrongly imprisoned. Their love was a beacon in the darkness, a light that shone brightly even in the bleakest of places. But their dreams were shattered by a jealous guard, Barnes, whose envy knew no bounds. Consumed by jealousy, Barnes concocted a plan as cruel as it was heartless, determined to tear them apart. He planted evidence in Thomas's cell, framing him for an assault on another guard, a crime he did not commit. Thomas, helpless to prove his innocence, was sentenced to solitary confinement, a punishment that broke his spirit. Celia, her heart shattered, was denied any contact with her beloved, her pleas for justice ignored. She pleaded with the warden, proclaiming Thomas's innocence, but her cries fell on deaf ears, her desperation growing with each passing day. Driven to desperation, Celia confronted Barnes, threatening to expose his lies and bring the truth to light. But Barnes, his heart black with malice, silenced Celia forever, his cruelty knowing no bounds. He strangled her in a fit of rage, her screams swallowed by the cold stone walls, her life snuffed out in an instant. Thomas, his spirit crushed by Celia's disappearance, wasted away in solitary confinement, his hope fading with each passing day. He died within those cold, unforgiving walls, his last thoughts a desperate plea for Celia, a wish that would never be fulfilled. But Celia's spirit, fueled by betrayal and a thirst for justice, refused to rest, her presence a constant reminder of the prison's dark past. She became the wailing woman, her anguished cries a testament to the darkness that consumed Blackwood, a haunting reminder of the love and betrayal that once echoed through its halls. Chapter 3. The Shadow Man. Our final tale leads us to the decaying ruins of Stonegate Penitentiary, a place where darkness reigns supreme, and the air is thick with the weight of forgotten sorrows. Swallowed by the encroaching forest, Stonegate stands as a grim reminder of the horrors that men can inflict upon each other, a monument to the cruelty and suffering that once thrived within its walls. Within its crumbling walls, a malevolent entity lurks, an embodiment of fear itself, waiting to prey on the unwary. They call him the Shadow Man, a being born of the prison's darkest deeds, a specter of malevolence that feeds on the misery of the past. The Shadow Man is not a ghost in the traditional sense, not a mere echo of a lost soul. He is something far more ancient, far more primal, a creature that defies the boundaries of time and space. He is a creature of pure darkness, feeding on the fear and despair that permeates Stonegate's very foundation, growing stronger with each passing moment of terror. His origins are shrouded in mystery, lost to the passage of time and the prison's bloody history, a tale whispered in hushed tones by those who dare to remember. Some say he is the manifestation of all the pain and suffering that transpired within those walls, a dark reflection of the human capacity for cruelty. Others believe he is something far older, a being that predates the prison itself, an ancient force of darkness that has always existed. Whatever his true nature, the Shadow Man is a terrifying presence within Stonegate, a figure that haunts the dreams of those who have encountered him. He is often described as a tall, shadowy figure, his form shifting and swirling like smoke in the darkness, an ever-changing silhouette that defies comprehension. He has no discernible features, just a void where a face should be, an emptiness that seems to draw in all light and hope. His presence is accompanied by an overwhelming sense of dread, a suffocating fear that grips the heart and soul. Those who have encountered the Shadow Man tell of an icy cold that seems to emanate from him, a chill that seeps into the bones and freezes the blood. They speak of a feeling of overwhelming despair, as if all hope is being drained from them, leaving only a void of darkness and fear. Some have been driven mad by their encounters, their minds shattered by the sheer terror, their sanity lost to the darkness. One such tale involves a group of paranormal investigators who dared to spend the night within Stonegate's walls, seeking to uncover the truth behind the legend. They were drawn to the prison by its dark reputation, eager to prove the existence of the Shadow Man, to capture evidence of the supernatural. They entered the prison armed with cameras, EMF readers, and a healthy dose of skepticism, ready to face whatever lay within. They never could have imagined the horrors that awaited them, the darkness that would soon envelop their every thought. As night fell, the investigators set up their equipment in the main cell block, their nerves on edge as the shadows grew longer. They tried to maintain a sense of bravado, but as the darkness deepened, a palpable sense of unease settled over the group, a feeling that something was watching them. The temperature dropped, and the air grew heavy with a suffocating dread, a weight that pressed down on their chests. It began subtly at first, a flicker of movement in the corner of their eyes, a whisper of sound that seemed to come from nowhere, a sense of being watched. Then, the shadows themselves seemed to come alive, swirling and shifting as if something was moving within them, a dark presence that defied explanation. The investigators grew quiet, their laughter replaced by nervous whispers, their bravado crumbling in the face of the unknown. Then, one of the investigators screamed, a sound of pure terror that echoed through the dark halls. He pointed to the far end of the cell block, his face contorted in terror, his eyes wide with fear. There, standing in the shadows, was the Shadow Man, a figure of pure darkness that seemed to absorb all light. He was tall and imposing, his form shifting and swirling like smoke, an ever-changing silhouette that defied comprehension. His eyes, if you could call them that, were 2 points of absolute darkness, voids that seemed to draw in all light and hope. The investigators fled in terror, their screams echoing through the empty halls of Stonegate, their minds shattered by the encounter. Thank you for joining us on this terrifying journey into the darkest corners of human experience. We've explored the chilling tales of Cranbrook, Blackwood, and Stonegate, each haunted by the ghosts of their past. These stories serve as chilling reminders that some places hold on to their darkness. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-tingling tales. Until next time, stay safe and beware of the shadows, for you never know what lurks just beyond the veil of reality.